Hello and welcome back to All About Community. Again, my name is RLHarris and I am your host. When we went to break, I was speaking with Loren Taylor. Loren Taylor represents currently District 6 right here in the city of Oakland, but he is a candidate for mayor of Oakland. Loren, let's talk for a moment about juvenile crime. And you mentioned earlier the OK program, that's Our Kids program, headed up by Bishop Bob Jackson. What importance do you see the OK program performing?
So as a member of the 100 Black Men organization who has partnered with the OK program in mentoring our young men, I have to say the program has been incredibly successful. Having visited and gone to the Kick It sessions, engaged with these young men, I know that they are inspired, connected to male mentors in their community that they otherwise wouldn't have had access to, and that has opened up their eyes to new possibilities, given them inspiration, and kept them on the right track. So I'm grateful for what the program has done and see the huge potential that it has.
So the program is obviously, at least in my view, having a significant impact. I noticed that the juvenile hall is almost empty. It was built for some 500 plus boys, and I believe now it only has about 50 or 60 boys. So it's something has been successful there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Where do you stand on the location of the Oakland A's? I believe a lot of controversy about putting them down at Howard Terminal, and then there's another viewpoint that they should not leave the Coliseum area. How do you sort out all of that stuff?
Well, I'll begin by just saying, as a kid who grew up in Oakland, watching A's games, sitting in the bleachers with my grandparents, eating homemade sandwiches, drinking Shasta soda, I am excited about the possibility of sharing that same experience with my grandkids. So I would love to figure out a way to maintain the A's here in Oakland, and I believe that we can do that.
And how are you going to do that?
So the Coliseum is off the table. I know a lot of people would love to develop that, but in conversations with the A's, their representatives,
okay, let's
not
assume
viable.
it's off the table, which is fine. Howard Terminal, now, is that going to happen?
Howard Terminal, I see a path for us to get there, and we are working hard to do that. I'm meeting with and advising city staff on a bi-weekly basis to make sure that we are advancing and creating a win-win situation. That Howard Terminal parcel currently generates $79,000 of revenue for the city in property taxes. We're talking about a project, $12 billion of investments, only $1.2 billion of which is the ballpark, that will then generate tens and tens of millions of dollars per year. 79,000 to more than $20-30 million in revenue.
Any taxpayer money involved in it?
So the taxpayer money that is involved is only but for revenue, that which will only be created if this project is successful. And we've been working hard to make sure we learn from the lessons of the past with the Raiders and the Warriors to make sure that we are not saddling taxpayers with increased debt that they can't afford and isn't generated by this project in and of itself.
But historically, we have been saddled with the cost of...
We have, and I'm not going to put any blame on past elected representatives, but we have learned from a lot of those lessons, and we are putting safeguards in place to protect taxpayer and Oakland's interests.
Okay, let's talk about affordable housing in Oakland. I'm not certain that's even a concept that makes sense. Affordable housing in Oakland. But what do you plan to do, if anything, concerning the affordability of housing in Oakland, especially with blacks being driven out?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, it's important for us to recognize that since 2000 to 2020, average household incomes have risen by 7%, when the average cost of housing has risen by 227%. That disparity is one that we have to acknowledge. The American dream of owning a home is that much further out of reach.
Well, based on what you just said, it's dead.
So there are things that we can do to
Okay.
reduce the costs. We have to, when we talk about affordability, there are two factors. One
Okay.
is reducing the costs to make things more affordable, while also increasing earning potential and income of residents so that they can afford more. And we have to hit that from both sides. When we talk about reducing costs, we have to,
Okay.
the government's primary role is to smooth out all of the obstacles, the roadblocks that keep us from developing housing. So faster, doing things more effectively and efficiently. There are some regulatory changes. Our permitting fees, we should be looking at how to reduce those so that they don't significantly burden housing development and add costs. We have to look at new types of construction like modular construction that also allow for cost reduction. And frankly, we are going to have to help write down some of the costs of housing, perhaps doing some land banking on our own. My grandparents, when they moved here, they lived in Harbor Homes, government housing that's currently located where the Port of Oakland is today. Government housing is something that we relied on a lot more to support those who need it. But we've switched to more of a voucher-based system where now we in government have to compete with the market rate. And that just makes it that much more difficult.
No, no matter what, the cost of housing in Oakland is astronomical. Matter of fact, it's not only in Oakland, it's the entire Bay Area. Matter of fact, it's most of California. But we're going to have to go to break, so don't touch that remote. Just put it down. We will be right back with All About Community.